Volkswagen. Today, we know it for eco-friendly cars and catchy commercials. But did you know that behind the shiny, family-friendly image lies a dark and twisted past? Buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the shadowy history of Volkswagen. After World War I, Germany was in chaos, grappling with severe economic and social turmoil. The Treaty of Versailles had slapped Germany with harsh reparations, stripped it of 13% of its territory, and crippled its military. This led to hyperinflation, skyrocketing unemployment, and widespread resentment. The Nazi Party, led by none other than Adolf Hitler, capitalized on this discontent by promising economic recovery and national progress. By 1933, Hitler had risen to chancellor and had grand plans to revive the economy and prepare Germany for military expansion. One of Hitler's key strategies was to get more Germans on the road. In 1937, Volkswagen was founded as part of the Nazis' plan to produce a Volkswagen, which translates to people's car in German. The idea was to recreate an affordable vehicle that ordinary German families could own. At that time, car ownership in Germany was relatively low, and Hitler wanted to change that. The car had to be cheap, practical, and mass-produced, with the target price of less than 1,000 Reichsmarks, which would be about $140 back then. He enlisted the Austrian and German automotive engineer Ferdinand Porsche to design this car. By 1937, they had a design, and in 1938, a state-funded Volkswagen factory was opened. Initially, the car was called the KDF wagon, or the Kraft durch Freude wagon, named after the Nazi organization Strength Through Joy, part of the German Labor Front. This organization promoted leisure activities for workers and was heavily involved in the Volkswagen project. The car made its debut at the Berlin Motor Show in 1939, just before the outbreak of World War II. With the war beginning, Volkswagen shifted its focus from producing cars to manufacturing military vehicles. During the war, Volkswagen's factory was repurposed to churn out military vehicles like the Kübelwagen and the Schwimmwagen, but this is where things take a darker turn. Volkswagen became deeply involved in the use of forced labor under the Nazi regime. The factory, located in Fallersleben, which is now Wolfsburg, used a significant number of forced laborers, including prisoners of war, concentration camp inmates, and civilians forcibly deported from occupied territories. As the war progressed and the demand for military vehicles grew, Volkswagen's reliance on forced labor increased. Around 20,000 forced laborers worked at the plant, including about 5,000 concentration camp prisoners. These workers faced brutal conditions, poor housing, little food, and grueling work schedules. One of the most harrowing aspects of this dark period was the Kinderheim, or children's home. Volkswagen created this facility to keep female forced laborers working, even if they became pregnant. Instead of sending pregnant women back to their hometowns, Volkswagen housed their infants in this facility. However, the Kinderheim turned into a place of extreme neglect and high mortality. The facility was a dilapidated wooden barrack infested with vermin. Babies received minimal nourishment, often supplied milk and a bit of sugar. The death rate was nearly 100% due to malnutrition, infection, and neglect. Mothers even had to pay for so-called funerals, where babies were wrapped in toilet paper and buried in mass graves. Volkswagen was directly responsible for this, not the Nazi government. After the war, the Volkswagen plant was liberated by Allied forces, freeing the remaining forced laborers. Post-war, Volkswagen faced numerous controversies and legal battles related to its wartime activities. Key figures like Ferdinand Porsche and Anton Pieck were detained by French authorities for 2 years, but never faced trial. It took decades for Volkswagen to formally acknowledge its wartime actions and address the grievances of its forced laborers. In 1998, Volkswagen set up a $12 million fund to compensate surviving forced laborers. This was part of a broader effort by German industries to provide restitution for wartime atrocities under the German Foundation, Remembrance, Responsibility, and Future. In 1999, Volkswagen established a place of remembrance of forced labor in the Volkswagen factory to honor the victims and educate the public about this darker chapter. After the war, the Volkswagen plant in Wolfsburg was placed under British military control. Major Ivan Hurst played a crucial role in reviving the factory, which had been severely damaged during the war. Initially, the plant produced vehicles for the British military, and then it began manufacturing civilian cars, marking the beginning of the iconic Volkswagen Beetle production. Volkswagen sales in the United States were slow initially due to the car's Nazi connections, small size, and unusual shape. In 1959, the advertising agency Doyle Dane Bernbach launched a groundbreaking campaign, calling the car the Beetle and promoting its small size as an advantage. By 1960, the German government sold 60% of Volkswagen stock to the public, effectively denationalizing it. 12 years later, the Beetle surpassed Ford's Model T production record, marking a significant milestone in automotive history. Throughout the 1960s and 70s, Volkswagen continued to grow, becoming a symbol of the counterculture movement in the United States. The Beetle was beloved for its quirky design and reliability, and it became an icon of freedom and adventure. Volkswagen's success seemed unstoppable. However, the company's past and present were about to collide once again. Enter the Dieselgate scandal in September 2015. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency discovered that Volkswagen had installed defeat devices in their diesel vehicles to cheat emissions tests. These devices made the cars appear to meet emission standards during testing, but allowed them to emit up to 40 times more nitrogen oxides in real-world driving conditions. This was a major blow to Volkswagen's reputation as a leader in environmental stewardship. The scandal affected about 11 million vehicles worldwide, including popular models from Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche. It allowed these vehicles to seem more eco-friendly than they were, significantly impacting consumers and the environment. Volkswagen faced fines and settlement totaling over $30 billion, including compensation to customers. In the US, Volkswagen agreed to a $14.7 billion settlement, offering affected car owners buybacks or modifications to comply with emission standards. The scandal was also delaying compensation claims in the European Union, adding to the company's woes. Volkswagen's share price plummeted, losing about 40% of its value. The scandal led to significant leadership changes, with CEO Martin Winterkorn resigning. Some executives received prison sentences, like Oliver Schmidt, who was sentenced to 7 years in prison in the US for his role in the scandal. The fallout from Dieselgate was extensive, tarnishing the company's reputation and leading to a global reckoning for Volkswagen. In the aftermath, Volkswagen has been working hard to shift towards more sustainable practices, investing heavily in electric and hybrid vehicles. This shift is crucial for environmental stewardship, regaining public trust, and complying with future regulations. The crisis prompted Volkswagen to initiate substantial cultural and organizational changes to foster a more transparent and ethical corporate environment. Today, Volkswagen is striving to be a leader in the electric vehicle market. The company has launched several new electric models, including the ID.4, which has received positive reviews for its performance range. So, the next time you see a Volkswagen, remember there's much more to the story. The company has apologized for its past actions and is striving to be a more responsible corporation today. What other companies might have surprising pasts? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for joining us.